Amos chapter 9 verse 13 is a verse that shimmers with hope. It speaks of a time when blessings overflow, a time of peace and abundance. This verse, nestled in the book of Amos, offers a powerful message for all who read it. Like a seed planted in fertile ground, it speaks of growth and harvest. God, through the prophet Amos, paints a picture of a world transformed. It is a world where hard work is rewarded and faithfulness yields a bountiful harvest. This verse is a beacon of hope, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, God's promises remain true. To fully appreciate the power of Amos chapter 9 verse 13, we must first understand the context in which it was written. Amos prophesied during a time of great unrest and social injustice. The Israelites, God's chosen people, had strayed from his path. They had become consumed by greed and apathy towards the poor and vulnerable. Injustice was rampant, and the gap between the rich and the poor grew wider. Amos, a shepherd and a fig tree farmer, was called by God to deliver a message of warning and hope. He spoke out against the corruption and complacency that had infected the hearts of the people. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when the reaper will be overtaken by the plowman and the planter by the one treading grapes. This prophecy speaks of a time of unprecedented abundance and prosperity. New wine will drip from the mountains and flow from all the hills. Imagine a land so fertile and blessed that the very hills seem to overflow with goodness. These words, spoken by Amos, painted a vivid picture of God's restoration and blessing. They were a beacon of hope for a people in need of reassurance. The image of the reaper overtaken by the plowman speaks of a harvest so abundant that there is no time to gather it all before the next planting season begins. It is a vision of continuous growth and unending provision. This is not just a promise of material prosperity, but a promise of spiritual renewal. It signifies a deeper connection with the divine, a renewal of faith and spirit. It speaks of a time when God's blessing would be so abundant that it would transform every aspect of their lives. Families and communities would thrive, and joy would be a constant companion. This verse offered a glimmer of hope in a time of darkness, a reminder that God had not forgotten his people. It was a promise that better days were ahead, filled with light and hope.
Breaking news.
Section 4. Reaping in joy, abundance for all. The overflowing blessings described in Amos chapter 9 verse 13 are not just for a select few, but for all who turn to God. This passage paints a vivid picture of a time when the plowman will overtake the reaper and the treader of grapes will overtake the sower. It is a vision of continuous abundance, where the cycle of sowing and reaping is unending, and the land yields its bounty without pause. This verse echoes the words of Psalm 37 verse 4, "Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." It is a promise that when we find our joy in God, he responds by fulfilling our deepest longings. This delight is not just a fleeting emotion, but a deep, abiding joy that comes from a relationship with the Creator. When we align our hearts with God's will, when we seek justice and righteousness, we open ourselves up to the fullness of his blessings. Acts of kindness and service to others are ways we can live out this alignment. They are tangible expressions of our faith and our commitment to living out God's love in the world. The image of new wine dripping from the mountains and flowing from all the hills evokes a sense of abundance and joy. It symbolizes the richness of God's provision and the overflowing nature of his blessings. This imagery reminds us that God's generosity knows no bounds, and that his gifts are plentiful and ever-flowing. It is a reminder that God's blessings are not limited, but flow freely to all who are thirsty for him. Just as a stream nourishes the land and brings life to everything it touches, so too does God's grace and love nourish our souls and bring us true fulfillment. This abundance is available to everyone, inviting us to drink deeply from the well of his goodness. Section 5. A timeless message, hope for today. Even today, centuries after Amos delivered his message, the words of Amos chapter 9 verse 13 continue to resonate with us. This ancient text speaks of a time when the plowman will overtake the reaper and the mountains will drip with sweet wine. We live in a world often filled with uncertainty and despair, yet the message of Amos offers a beacon of light, reminding us that God is still in control. The promise of Amos 9:13 is a timeless message of hope, encouraging us to hold on to hope and trust in the unwavering love and provision of our Creator.